Okay, so I've gathered a few things together and put them up above where I can just see them, and then I'll turn them off later. But I have my colors from my design board and a couple of the fonts and my little thumbnail sketch that I'm working off of. And I've also gone onto the internet and found some awesome resources. I found the chalkboard texture that I'm going to use. And I also found this really cool looking old banjo that I'm going to create a graphic out of. So let's start there with banjo. I'm going to copy it and go to Photoshop and create a new document. Now I'm going to run a filter on this, so I'm actually going to leave this at 72 DPI and RGB and all the settings that it just comes up from the internet. And when I set my foreground color to black and grab the filter gallery and choose the stamp setting, let me shrink down my filter gallery so you can actually see it. Okay, so here's the stamp setting under Sketch. This is really a great one to know to take a graphic that somebody else, or a photo that somebody else has, and turn it into a graphic that you can use that's unique to you. And then you can play with the settings to get it great. This looks pretty good for me. I don't want it to be super real. And then click OK. Now I need to move this over to my other object, so I'm going to select mine using the color range. Click on the black and hit OK, and then copy it. And I can flip back and forth between my projects by using the tabs or hitting Command tilde, which is the little squiggle key under the escape key. And anyway, I'm going to paste that now. So I have a graphic, and it's actually a pretty cool graphic. See? That's kind of neat. And then I'm going to go back to the internet and grab my chalkboard. Now I would recommend saving these files down to your resource folder. Now that way you'll have them for each one and you don't have to go hunt them down or copy them from document to document. Just create a resource folder in your project that you're saving things to that you're going to be using in multiple places. So I have this chalkboard copied, and if I paste it, it goes everywhere, and I actually want this to be my background inside of here, so I'm just going to click and drag this layer into this folder that has the layer mask, and that will get rid of the extra. And because this is just a background, I don't really need to worry about it being distorted, so I'm transforming, and then I'm going to clean up just kind of this little dark spot using my here we go. In the heel area, I'm going to use my patch tool, because that's a really good one to take care of kind of unwanted spots. And if you're using a graphic like this that's more rough and textural, I would recommend whichever copy you're keeping in your resource folder, clean that one up, because otherwise you'll have to clean up every time you use it. So if you just clean it up once, it saves you a lot of work. And this tool is cool because it works by you circle the area you want to change and then click and drag it to an area that you like, and it replaces it. So I don't really care for this really long scratch going down through the whole thing, so I'm going to get rid of that too, and then I think I'll be ready to go. The larger your selection is with this tool, the longer your computer has to think. So I would maybe not recommend for using it for huge areas, but for little spot areas, it's fantastic. Okay, a couple of these little spots I may leave, but I want to get rid of most of them. Cool. Alrighty. You can pop out to see your entire object at any time by hitting Command 0. Now looking at my little sketch, I know I want to have the name of my group, which is Scratchboard. And I really liked that look like it was on it was chalk, so I found some fonts that looked well with that. Now, you may have, let's see, no, I'll save that comment for later. The biggest thing I want on here is the name of the group, because that's what is most important. I want them to be noticed. In fact, I'm going to change this so that these are all capitals. I could do that by hitting my cap locks and retyping it, or you can just go to your character box and click the all caps button. And then I'm using my leading options to change some of this stuff. If you need a refresher on that, you can go check out the type. I'm not going to talk you through every little thing I do in this tutorial just because it would take forever. And there's some things that you should already know. So here we go, scratch board, that's their name. And then I need to do the date that they're going to be playing at. So on my little thumbnail, I've got that down here. And I think you'll hear me say I think, and I'm going to try this and different things quite a bit because it's not an exact science when you are creating. You will move stuff around and try different things, and because a lot of times it's not, oh yeah, that's perfectly right. You're going to make something and then try out different things to see if you like a certain color combination. And okay, putting things together here. Now, I'm going to go on and finish creating some of my elements here in a minute without you, but I do want to show you for this tab project an easy way to space out your tabs. So I know I want mine to be a dotted line, and I've actually already created a brush to do that. And if you want to remember how to create a dotted line brush, you can go back and check out our week on brushes. I'm not actually sure what week that is. Okay, I want that to be white. I think it was like 4 or 5, somewhere in there. Okay, so I've made a new layer for just this straight line that's going to go down. Now I can use my alignment tool to make these exactly the right distance from each other. So I'm going to just make a couple copies and drag them over so that they're roughly the distance that I want them to be. You know, I know this won't be exact, but get a rough number on there. Now I want this one on the end to have a exact distance, the same amount of space in it as these ones in the middle. So I'm going to make one more line and put it right here on my trim line, and I will actually delete those ones that I put on the trim line here in a minute, but I need them so that I have something the furthest out that those are all going to spread out between. So now in my layers, this all says layer 8 copy whatever, so I know that clear down to layer 8, those are all of my dotted lines. So if I have my move tool, then all of my arrange options are up here. To arrange, you can select multiple layers and then click on one of these options and they will pop right into where everything is lined up just the way it should be. I'm going to also click the one that lines them up to the tops to make sure that they're lined up, and if I'm looking at this, I've actually overdrawn a tiny bit, so I'm going to nudge them down by holding down Command and my down arrow and nudge it just down a tiny bit. Okay, so now I'm going to hide my guidelines just for a second, Command semicolon, because I want to come in here and grab those 2 little lines that I don't want and just get rid of them. So I'm Command clicking on that little line and then deleting it. And if you delete the wrong thing, you can do a quick undo. And I know that it looks like this is bigger than this one, but if I turn on my guidelines, I got to remember that this is going to get cut right along that inside line. So that's pretty good. It gives me some different spaces to have this in. Now my color scheme, I have multiple colors, so as I get building, I'll be putting more stuff on there. So go ahead and catch up to this point in the tutorial where you have your tabs all set up, and I'm going to go ahead and build the rest of my pieces and just get them on here so we can talk about arranging and aligning.